Okay, so have you ever entered a building and felt uncomfortable? Or have you ever been in the outside and felt uncomfortable? Look at these pictures. What do you feel about these places? So my name is Sara Eloy. I'm a researcher and a professor in the University of Antwerp. And this is a topic that always have concerned my activity as an architect.
This is Design Sciences.
So I was concerned in understanding how we as architects could understand the impact that the buildings that we design have on the users, and how to do this in a way that it would be easy to include during the design process. This is not a totally new topic. So for centuries, architects have been concerned with this issue, and there have been lots of studies done. Centuries ago, also, architects already knew how to, in a way, trick the way that people would perceive the buildings. For instance, with accelerated perspective, this was a technique that was used to increase the feeling of depth that someone would feel when entering a building. But later on, also studies by the Gestalt, the Bauhaus, the Modernism, they also made lots of studies, theoretical studies, and based on phenomenology, on issues like how shape impacts users, how colors impact users, how light also impact users. Two main concepts that I want to bring now are emotions and space perception. So first of all, what is an emotion? If we as architects want to understand how users feel when walking inside our buildings, we need to understand that we need to, in a way, identify what emotions the buildings triggered on users. Emotions is a topic that is mainly researched in psychology. And in psychology, this is a main topic. Psychologists also don't have a consensus about what are emotions. There are different notions and different lists of emotions, but for us architects, going so deep into the emotion is not such an issue. So what we need to know is that often emotions do not involve deliberate thinking, so we feel something but we don't know exactly what it is, and it comes before we even have a rational understanding of what we feel. Emotions are positive and negative, and we as architects, of course, we want to elicit positive emotions on users, and also that emotions, in a way, trigger the behaviors. So if I'm really happy and aroused and optimistic, I have a specific type of behavior, but if I am frustrated, sad, I will have another behavior while I'm walking in a building. The second concept is space perception. So space perceptions is when our sensorial organs inform our brain about what is around our surroundings. So we have an awareness about the space that we are walking in, that we are using, and this comes from our senses. In architecture, space perception or space perception is mainly focused on the site, so the main sense that we use, but is also focused on the auditory sense, the smells that we experience in buildings, and very much also on the touch. So different materials give different perceptions on users, and less, but still possible, also on the taste. The main features in architecture that have to do with space perception are related to the forms of the buildings, the shapes, the colors that are used, more contrasting, less contrasting, more dark, more light. The materials, again, different touches, different sense of temperature, different feelings of comfort. And of course, the light. So very different lighting impacts the users in a very different way. So studying space perception enables us to do a couple of studies that are very interesting for architects regarding the orientation of users in buildings, regarding the comfort, the satisfaction, the safety or unsafety that buildings bring, the walkability that are possible in specific building environments. And now I was also thinking about what are architects doing nowadays about this topic? So how do architects and designers in general of the built environment do to understand the user's perception? most of the times they don't do much. So this is a topic that is not high priority. Architects deal a lot with evaluating the performance of buildings regarding durability, thermal performance, acoustic performance, but really understanding what is the user satisfaction is something that is not really easy to do also, and also difficult to evaluate and difficult to convince that this is a issue that you should take in consideration. One of the tools that is used for a couple of decades now is the post-occupation evaluation, and this is a tool that is very interesting, but has the main problem, which is it can only be used after the building is being built. So if something is wrong, it's already wrong, and it will be very costly and timely to make it worth again, and sometimes it's even impossible. So then it can even lead to demolitions. What I bring today is two main concepts, two technologies that we are using nowadays for a couple of years now that enables us to do user studies in a much more easy way, much more friendly, and also much less expensive than a couple of years ago. One of it is, I have these Googles in my hand, so these enable us to be in virtual reality. So for long, we are already doing 3D modeling, but now we can, using game engines and other technologies, bring a much more immersive environment to our clients or to the end users. So we can have immersive experiences. Someone can navigate through a building that doesn't exist yet, so it's still just a simulation. But we architects, we can use this as a tool to test our designs during the design phase with the end users or the client. With this, we can also manipulate variables. For instance, we can have the same building, the same geometry with different materials or different colors and test what is the satisfaction of users regarding these topics. We can also use, this is mainly based on vision, but this is also as sound, so we can also listen to something when we are navigating, and if we are more technologically advanced, we can also have smells and temperatures, so we can do really a lot with virtual reality. But then we have the simulations, and then how can we measure the impact of the buildings in the users? So the most common and traditional way of doing that is by using subjective measurements, self-reported questionnaires. So users think out loud when they are navigating, or then they fill some questionnaires and they say what they feel about the building that they were navigating before. Another way, which is the most current one and being used increasingly in a more easy way, is to use objective measurements. These Oculus, for instance, they already include eye tracking. So eye tracking is a technology that enables to see, to analyze exactly where you are looking, so what is your gaze. And this helps architects to understand when people are walking in a building, exactly where are they looking at, and so what are the places that they look to allow them to navigate or to walk in the right way. So if a person is easy to go from A to B, if this is done in a way that also the architects envision that would happen. Besides eye tracking, other sensors, other biometric sensors like the heartbeat, the skin condensant sensor, even the brain waves are being used increasingly more in research than in practice, but this is also something that will happen in the future. So the technology is evolving a lot so that in the future also architects can use this technology while doing their design. So my end statement is related to, indeed, we spend most of our time inside buildings. We know that buildings have a huge impact in mental health and social well-being. So for us architects to do a user-centered design, it would be good if we could indeed do a co-design or participatory design with end users so that we would identify potential problems and before the construction. So if you are thinking about hiring an architect for your house or for another building that you are commissioned to do, my suggestion is that you start asking them to bring some immersiveness, visualizations and experiences so that you can anticipate what is going to happen at the end.
Universiteit Antwerpen. Bepaal mee de toekomst.